Good morning. This is Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James, and this is all your latest Rangers news, guys. We've got news of Rangers in pursuit of a goalkeeper. Seems to be the one position, obviously, we have not been linked with. Well, we have, I suppose, to some degree with the guy who I think ended up going to Coventry. I think it was Coventry he went to. We've also got the situation with John Souttar. Contract talks apparently breaking down with John Souttar. Souttar seems to be someone who divides the fan base a little bit, and I think personally gets a lot of unfair criticism. Certainly, if you consider the slack that is given to some of the players in this squad who certainly do not deserve it. But we're going to start off with talking about this goalkeeper that we've been linked with. It is 23-year-old Karl Hein. He's an Estonian international, currently Estonian number one. Guys, I remember you remember Estonian goalkeepers Mark Poom. Do you remember him? Him with a bullet header. I think was an equaliser for Sunderland against Derby, ex-Derby goalkeeper as well. Very famous goalkeeper Mark Poom back in the day. Karl Hein is currently with Arsenal. But even though he is, of course, he is this Estonian international number one, he's obviously finding getting opportunities at Arsenal to be their number one very, very hard indeed. I mean, obviously he was there originally when they had Ramsdale and Raya, getting past a goalkeeper who was in contention for England, and obviously David Raya, who's one of the best goalkeepers in world football, is not a particularly easy situation, is it? Now, if you look at the team at the moment, they've got David Raya still one of the best goalkeepers in world football. They've also just signed Kepa Arrizabalaga, I think, or Kepa as he's known, the Basque goalkeeper from Chelsea. Another one of the better goalkeepers in the Premier League as well. So, the strength and depth at the goalkeeping position for Arsenal is there to be seen, and realistically, Karl Hein is not going to get first team minutes with Arsenal, and that's not because he's no good, that's not because he's second rate, that's just because the guys ahead of him are just top world class goalkeepers. Both Kepa and of course Raya having represented their nation, Spain, the European champions. Let's talk a little bit about Karl Hein. We'll talk a little bit about what he's good at, what he's not so good at in a moment. We'll talk about his scouting report. Very important to find out what a player he is. Now, I think this is maybe, again, an opportunity. I think, Hein's going to come and he'll probably end up being a backup. I mean, whether he wants that or doesn't want that could well hinge on whether this deal gets done. Now, according to reports, there are other clubs interested in acquiring Karl Hein from Arsenal, who may be able to offer him first team football. I mean, look at the start of the season, you probably would have said, well, you come to Rangers, you're going to get first team football. But given the outstanding form of Jack Butland at the start of the season, I think replacing Jack would be very, very unfair on him. He's been absolutely outstanding. I think I made a lot of his critics eat their words. Butland, for me, is the undisputed Rangers number one at this point in time. But look, this is a little bit about Karl Hein, the player. Hein, obviously, like I said, he is an Estonian international goalkeeper. He is only 23 years old, so still very much in that growth area, very much for that trading model. I suppose one thing would be that Hein could be seen as being a replacement for Butland long term. Butland obviously is over 30, but goalkeepers do go on for a hell of a long time. I think this guy is more a replacement for Liam Kelly, who, Liam Kelly is, with the best will in the world, not the best goalkeeper in the world, is he? He's a backup. That's all Liam Kelly is. I mean, you can't realistically have Liam Kelly as your number one. That's just life. The thing that kind of makes Hein liable to a move at this point is the fact that his contract is up in the end of this season, so he's only got a year left on his deal, so he's certainly not going to be an expensive player to buy. Transfer market value around about €3 million. It's about 2.3 million pounds. So again, not a massive salary for a guy who is an international goalkeeper. Very tall as well. Karl Hein, a decent size keeper. Look, he's, like I said, he's promising. He's young, and when he was signed by Arsenal, he was, again, very highly rated as one of the best up-and-coming young shot stoppers in the business. He's 6'4", to be precise. In terms of where he's been all his career, he spent time obviously with Arsenal, with their under-23s, played a number of games for them, 36 games for them. Allowed 58 goals in that time, 5 clean sheets. With Real Valladolid, he was there last season on loan. Valladolid finished bottom of La Liga, conceding 80 goals. He was, not down to him. The defence was shocking and the team was genuinely poor. 32 games, conceded 70 goals and had 5 clean sheets. FC Noma under 17s, that's a Estonian youth team. Arsenal under 18s, 8 games. He was also had a short spell at Reading, 5 games, conceding 8 goals, 1 clean sheet. Noma United, I think, which is a fantastic name. Nom United. 5 appearances, 3 clean sheets, 3 goals, conceded 2 clean sheets, and he made 1 appearance for Arsenal where he conceded 3 goals. I think that was probably a Carabao Cup game, if anything. But in terms of this young man, Mr. Karl Hein, what do we know about him? What do we know about this lad as a keeper? Like I said, he was born in Polva in Estonia. Like I said, he is a Estonian international goalkeeper. Now, in terms of what he does well and what he does perhaps not so well, he's known for his strong shot-stopping abilities, sharp reflexes, and impressive distribution skills, which may be one of the things that attracts Russell Martin to him, given the fact that Russell Martin likes to play out from the back. Now, one thing you could perhaps call into question still a little bit with Jack is his distribution skills. Jack is not the best with the ball at his feet. So, in terms of his strengths, like I've said, shot stopping, he's got strong reflexes. Shot stopping abilities are his key assets, making him a reliable presence in goal. Distribution, he possesses impressive distribution skills, allowing him to launch attacks effectively. So again, this may be something that is an attractive option to Rangers, given the way that Russell Martin likes to play the game, playing out from the back. Commanding presence, he's 6'4", he cuts an imposing figure and gives confidence to his defenders, comes well for crosses. He has gained significant experience for both club and country at young age, including a loan spell in the Championship with Reading, a spell in La Liga with Valladolid, and obviously playing regularly for Estonia at national team level. Potential, he has got high potential. He's considered a bright prospect with significant potential to develop into an outstanding goalkeeper. But like I said, is he going to get those development opportunities at Arsenal behind Raya and Kepa? I very much doubt it. His loan spell at Valladolid, despite their relegation, has provided a valuable experience and data for his development. Several clubs are interested in securing his services, suggesting his strong performance and potential are widely recognised across Europe. What are his areas for improvement? He's shown flashes of brilliance involving his consistency in matches, but he needs to be more consistent in his performance. But that is very much a young goalkeeper kind of thing. Young goalkeepers are notoriously inconsistent. He needs experience. He's had experience playing in La Liga, but he does need further experience playing at the highest level, something he would certainly get with Rangers, with the Champions League, for example. I don't think he'd get in the SPL particularly, but certainly in the Champions League. Certainly an interesting prospect. Look, I don't think this guy's a starter. I don't think he's from day one. I think that could be the thing that perhaps would scupper this deal, the fact that we don't offer him first-team football, because Jack Butland is the number one. I think as a backup, who can play the cup games, who could play the League Cup games, the Scottish Cup games, certainly to start off with, that could be something that could be offered. I think that would be where he would fit in this team, or perhaps to give Jack some rest periods between European games. Certainly, if we qualify for the league phase of the Champions League, that I think where Hein could be used. But like I said, there are other clubs interested, and I think that one stumbling block could be the first team football. Right, let's move it along a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about John Souttar. Now, John Souttar, obviously, John was excellent the other night against Butland, despite the criticism. And I've got to say, I genuinely don't get the abuse this man gets. I think he puts his body on the line for the club. He's excellent in the air. He's good at bringing the ball out from the back. His passing is good. The manager clearly rates him. He made him the captain for the Butland game when Martin finally grew a set and dropped captain loser. I think Souttar, like I said, I think doesn't get enough plaudits for what he does do well. Yes, he has the odd mistake in him, but I think, like we've got to recognise, John Souttar wouldn't be playing for Rangers if he was perfect. I think he'd be playing in the top 10, English Premier League clubs if he was perfect. You know, I think someone like a Villa or a Brentford or a Brighton would come in for him if he was perfect, if he didn't make those mistakes. You know, that's just a fact we've got to kind of deal with. And I think if you look at our defenders, how many of them are absolutely perfect? You know, even Nasajiga, who's had a very good start to the season, makes mistakes. So, you know, I think it's unfair, the criticism he gets. And, you know, particularly if you consider the slack that is given to certain other people in this squad, particularly, obviously, because obviously the serial loser of a captain we've got who gets a lot of slack from a number of our fans, the same fans that are ready to jump on Souttar's back. Now, Souttar is entering the final year of his contract, and Russell Martin clearly likes John Souttar from the fact that he's been picking him regularly. Now, the thing I would say about this is that obviously Souttar, you know, he's being played out of position effectively, you know, and people say, well, he's a centre-back, he's being played as a centre-back. Correct, he is, well done. But the situation is, I think, you know, very much that Souttar is a right-sided centre-back. He's not a left-sided centre-back. And that's, you know, something that I think, you know, you've got to get used to. If you're naturally right-footed, playing on the left-hand side of defence will be something that you find tricky to do. And certainly, you know, the previous season when Connor Goldson was there and Souttar was playing on the left-hand side, he did struggle to some degree. But, you know, like I said, there is only 12 months left on this lad's deal, so we do need to do something with him because, you know, we can't let him walk for nothing at the end of the season. That is very bad business. John Souttar has confirmed that discussions are ongoing between him and the club, but those discussions have since stalled. Look, we don't know what the disagreement's over. We're never going to know. You know, it could be over length of contract, it could be over wages, it could be over anything. You know, we don't know, and we're not going to know until someone comes out post John Souttar's career or when John Souttar leaves, if he leaves. And that's why we may find out what the situation is. So we can't say, oh, he's a greedy bastard, he wants too much money, or, you know, Rangers are being stupid with the contract length, etc., because we don't know. We can't comment. You know, he's certainly very much pro-Rangers. He wants to be here. He loves the club. I mean, in a recent interview, he said, look, I love this place. I love this club. I love being here. That's really all I'll say on the matter. I've not really heard much recently, so all I can do is train hard every day. Every day I step on the pitch, enjoying playing for the Rangers, because I know how special this club is to play for. You know, this is a guy who clearly gets it. You know, he clearly gets what it is to be a Rangers player and how, you know, what a great status playing for this great club is. He says, look, whatever happens will happen. All I can say is every time I pull on that jersey, I'm honoured, and that will never change. Every time I step on that pitch, I'll give everything. And that's reassuring to hear. You know, it really is. And, you know, you don't want a situation, you know, like we had with Alfie and Ryan Kent, where they downed tools effectively and gave up. He says, I don't have much time to think about anything else, but as I say, look, I love being here. That's the main thing. You know, look, I think a lot depends on obviously now where we go from this. You know, Russell Martin is clearly someone who likes this player and wants John Souttar to remain at the club. He said that. You know, very much so. He said that, you know, that he wants him to stay, that he wants him to be part of this squad. So I think it's something we do need to get sorted sooner rather than later. You know, the situation is that centre-back, we're not exactly blessed with centre-back options at the moment. You know, got Nasajiga, who's only here for a season, and look, realistically, as good as he is, you know, we're not going to pay 10, 12 million pound for him. You know, he cost Wolves 10 million. They're not going to let him go for anything less than that. So, you know, realistically, it would be in a position to pay 10 million pound for a centre back. I doubt it. You know, so I think he can be kind of ruled out. Fernandez is someone who's developing. King doesn't seem to be part of the plans, and Ciala doesn't seem to be part of the plans. Proper's gone. You know, so we do need, I think, to go out there and really secure some of these centre backs. Now, look, no matter what you think of John Souttar, he's still very good at domestic level. He would still be, I think, an important squad player no matter who we signed, even if we did bring in an extra centre-half in this transfer window. Look, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, on the way out, if you've liked the video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one.